So with that, let's go ahead and get right on into Twig. What is up? Welcome to Twig, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show that tackles everything from bugs in Baldur's Gate 3 to Disney dropping shows with some games in between. If you're listening on the podcast, then be sure to give us a good review. Click that like on YouTube, by the way. Hi, YouTube, in the chat. Or come and listen live on Twitch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Folks, we have a special guest joining us today. So as we always do, we're going to go through our watch, play, read. What did you watch? What did you play? What did you read this past weekend? And I'm going to let our special guest introduce themselves and then also drop those three for us here. So take it away.
Hello. It is I, the Mayfly. What did I watch, play, and read this weekend? I watched some cutscenes in Baldur's Gate 3. I played, not surprisingly, some Baldur's Gate 3. And I read a lot of books in Baldur's Gate 3. That has taken over my entire life. So,
Yeah, just pages and pages of scripts for that one.
Pages
it's a lot.
And pages of those books and lore and all of the things. So
yeah. It's a lot. I will say that at the point that I'm at in Baldur's Gate, I have mostly stopped reading all of the books that are just lying around. Like if there's one that I know is relevant to the plot, then I'll probably pick it up and give it a quick glance because they're all really very short. But at the beginning, I was like scouring over everything and I was like, I need to know what everything in this world says. And some of them were worth it, but some of them were really not. And I've come to the point now that I'm like, all right, I'm 50 hours in. I think it's about time that I start skipping some books here and there. I got plenty to read.
50?
But I am watching, for some reason, I don't know what's the deal with August, but I have been having like Let's Play mania, and I'm just going from one Let's Play to the next. I'm currently watching Danganronpa V3, which I've played many, many times, but this time I'm watching Weeby News play through it over on YouTube. I have picked back up with the manga Tokyo Revengers, and I can't help but love it. I've heard that it doesn't end very well, and I'm very nervous about it, but I'm 200 chapters deep at this point, and I'm like, I'm gonna finish this story, and I can't help but love these characters. So I'm hopeful that it remains strong through to the end. And then, as we've already said, playing some Baldur's Gate 3, I decided to give that game a shot, and it has seriously eaten away at my time and at my life. It is a game that is maddening all at once as very fun. I have discovered that I don't know what I'm doing wrong, if it's the fact that I talk so much smack and continue to talk smack about this game, but for some reason, I am just getting bugs galore. And it's one thing for like a hilarious bug to happen, right? With like whatever might happen where a character will like phase through a wall or any of those kind of bugs, like I can deal. But what keeps happening to me are these game-breaking bugs. Literally this morning, I was doing something in Act 2 that I won't spoil, but it was a decision that took me a long time to make, and I was very far back into a space that I could not easily get out of. And for some reason, even though I was in a safe zone, even though I was totally able to fast travel, every single time I would try to fast travel, the game would say, a party member is not ready for this, or something. It would say like, one member of your party is not prepared to travel. And so what I wound up having to do was straight up misty step and hide and like try to sneak through this space very slowly with each individual character, because if I tried to do it with all four of them, it would just automatically find them. So I was so frustrated, and I save scummed, and it took me like a good hour to do something that should have taken me 3 minutes. And that has been my negative experience at Baldur's Gate. But my good experience is that I really am enjoying the side quests, and I'm getting into the actual like building of the characters. I have 3 characters that I like to build, and then the 4th character I keep changing, and I can't ever find like a class that I'm enjoying. So
you don't have like your set party of people yet?
I have my 3. 3 have remained unmoved, and then my 4th person I can't decide. I'm trying a new one. I literally just started a new one today, and we'll see how I like them.
Wait, does one of these people include yourself?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I am my first person, and then I have 2 that are staying with me, and then my 3rd person always changes. So I guess, yeah. Semantics.
Okay,
With that, I think that Mayfly and I could probably have just like a
probably.
full Baldur's Gate test, but we're going to try to move on to some more Baldur's Gate with our trending headlines. And I'm going to let Mayfly take it away with our first headline for the evening.
So to bounce off of what you were saying about bugs, will the BG3 impending patches be enough to restore the Shattered third act? Or are players destined for a journey that falls short of its epic beginnings? So Baldur's Gate 3 has received widespread acclaim for its gameplay and storytelling, but has run into trouble with its third act. Players have taken to the game's subreddit to complain about a myriad of issues, including bugs, performance lags, and seemingly unfinished content. Notably, many quests in Act 3 are supposedly impossible to complete due to bugs, and some characters, such as Minthara, have very limited quest options and dialogue. Despite a recent patch, many of these issues persist. Larian Studios has promised a second patch to address these problems, but has not provided a timeline, which is interesting. I have not hit Act 3 yet. I am close to 100 hours in and still in Act 2. So
Yeah, I'm at about 55 hours, and I think I'm within like 5 to 10 hours of Act 3. I'll probably be there either tomorrow or the next day, depending on how much time I get to play. But I will say, like I've mentioned a couple of the game-breaking bugs, I will say I haven't, with one exception being campfire time, I have not felt like there's ever a shortage of dialogue or of interactions or of like
yeah,
background scene dialogue. The only thing I've been disappointed with, and that's unfair of me to expect, has really been the campground scenes. I really wanted more, but I
I feel that.
understand this is a pretty gigantic game. They can only do what they can do. So I'm very curious with what I've seen and how I've experienced it, what Act 3 is going to be about. Like, how broken can it possibly be? I'm scared to death of like I've enjoyed these first two acts enough that like I really don't want to have a bad time wrapping things up and sully the experience of my first 60 hours of a video game. So I really don't know what to say about this other than the fact that I've got to finish this game before Starfield comes out, and then we've got so many other games coming out in October. So there's a lot happening, and I can't afford to wait for them to come up with another patch. And I'm scared that I'm going to drop this just like I did Cyberpunk and then come back to it in like a year and a half and then just put in like another 70 hours. Like I think that's what I'm afraid of happening, but I really want to finish it now. I don't want to wait. So we'll see.
I get there. They will have fixed it
I'm hopeful.
with as
I'm
much
hopeful
time as
that
I'm taking.
it'll be the case. I think that the things that I'm probably most concerned about, I think they can fix bugs, and I think they can fix performance lags. The unfinished content is what I'm concerned about. I don't know how they'd be able to do that in a short matter of time. Like it's gonna take a while before that patch comes out. So, but compared to other games of that size, this definitely has not needed near the amount of patches as other games quite as hungry for something. So let us know in the chat if you are playing BG3 and if you've experienced any bugs. Help me feel not so alone in all of my bugs that I've experienced, and let us know your thoughts on that bit of news. With that, we're going to move into our next bit of news. Will Armored Core 6 ride the wings of Elden Ring's success to reestablish itself as a titanic franchise, or will it need more than borrowed fame to capture the gaming community's heart? From Software's new release, Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon has had a successful launch on Steam, reportedly thanks to the company's previous blockbuster, Elden Ring. After topping Steam's best-selling games chart over the weekend, the game now sits in 5th place, which, going up against Baldur's Gate, that's quite the feat. Fires of Rubicon is the first Armored Core game in 11 years and follows other successful releases from Software like Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Bandai Namco Europe CEO Arnaud Muller stated that they have bigger ambitions for this game, noting that the success of Elden Ring has created a seal of quality for From Software's offerings. So I know that Buish is in the chat as our resident Armored Core fan, and we will see how it continues to progress and what it continues to do. I had never heard of Armored Core before. I think we were watching something with Buish, and he was like, Armored Core, I'm so hyped for this. And I was like, really? What is all about this? So I'm excited to see it doing well. I'm always excited for more From Software IPs to hit the market because they're just such a behemoth in the gaming industry. And I hope that this continues to go as good as it possibly can. Do you have any thoughts on this one, Mayfly?
I was in a similar boat to you, but it was with the release or we were watching something as community, and it was for Armored Core 6, and I remember saying in the chat, I said, "Oh, Rubicon, like Transformers,"
Mm-hmm.
and everybody else went, "Yeah," and I went, "Oh, okay, so we all knew this except for me."
Well, I only
And
happen
that
to
is how
know
I
it.
figured out what it was.
I definitely was it at Game Awards last year that we first saw the preview. It might have been. It was a real sleeper, and I think that it's interesting to see. I would not have known had I not known that it was called Fires Rubicon. I would have been right there with you and thinking like, yeah, Decepticons, Rubicon, that's definitely a thing. That's probably a big bad. He was probably a moon or something in space.
Yep.
So I would have definitely agreed with you. And yeah, I still don't know anything about it. I don't know if it's for me. Looking at some of the like Let's Plays and streamers that are playing the game, I don't know if it's my steez, but I would really like to watch Buish play it or someone, to just experience the story. As I understand, I think it's a relatively short story compared to some of the true monsters that FromSoft will create from time to time. But well, we'll see where it continues to go. I'm excited that it's getting a good start. I think it's unfair of the IGN article to say that it's purely because of Elden Ring's coattails. I'm sure that has something to do with it, and just maybe. I think it's more just because From Software has become a trusted name in the gaming industry, and that has just worked in its favor to be like, oh, you're making a new game? Well, we'll give it a shot because it's you. I think that has more to do with it than anything or any one particular game, although Elden Ring certainly was a phenomenon last year. So we'll see how this one continues to grow and if we get a game in 11 years or if we maybe get another Armored Core series sooner than that. With that, we're going to move into our next bit of news. Facing both fires and phantoms, can Kinetic Games turn a scary setback into a treat by launching Phasmophobia's console version just in time for Halloween? Kinetic Games has announced the delay of the console release of its popular ghost hunting game Phasmophobia due to a fire incident at their office building. Initially set for August, the game's console release is now expected to launch in the week leading up to Halloween. The fire has significantly impacted their ability to test and to develop the game, prompting the decision to delay the release. Phasmophobia became one of the most played and streamed games following its early access launch in October 2020 on PC. This is ominous and spooky. I love that it's a spooky game that it happened to, but I obviously hate the event itself. I think that you would think that releasing this game in October would make all the sense in the world given its setting, but we really got to remember just how insane October is shaping up to be, and this is a game that's already been out for 3 years. So
Yep.
unfortunately, I think the people that were going to buy this game on console because they'd already played it are still going to buy it. So they're going to get that net profit no matter what. But I think the new folks that were like, hey, I've never gotten the chance to play this PC game before are probably going to sleep on this one. And that's a bummer, but it kind of just is what it is. As we said, yes, hope they got the insurance and help that they need. It sounds like from their response that everything has been dealt with and handled. It's just needing a delay. Any thoughts on this one, Mayfly?
I know a bit about this game. I know more about Demonologist, which is I'm not sure which one came first. One is I'm sure a clone of the other. They have basically the same premise. Get the ghosty out of the house with your friends, right? It is an unfortunate circumstance, and I think the fact that it has been in early access for so long has allowed enough clones to come out of it as well, that there are already other people making money off of the same idea. So not only are you unfortunately having to delay your game, but because it's already been out so long, other people have taken the idea or taken the similar idea and already made profit off of it as well. So it's kind of unfortunate all around. Fire, and then you having to push back something that's already been out for a while. Yeah, Pineapple is saying Blue Fast was first. So yeah, you have other companies doing similar things. So it just kind of, I'm glad they got everything they needed, but it just kind of is unfortunate all the way around a little bit, you know.
I think with the right marketing and finances behind it, that Phasmophobia and games like it could probably be like Dead by Daylight and get that pretty critical mass of players that are still pretty niche, but they still have the loyalty of like this type of game that they want to experience. So like I said, I think they're still going to get the buyers that they need from like the crossover, the new audience is what's really going to catch them. And I think that
Yeah.
what we said about putting it on PSVR would be really fun, a novel idea to kind of develop it further. That might be fun. But yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them. I feel really bad for them as a company. I hope that this doesn't slow down their inertia on Phasmophobia 2 or whatever they're working on next. Maybe they'll continue to innovate and come up with something fun, and this time have a full suite release rather than PC and then console. Maybe this will give them the push they need to create their next game on the full suite instead. With that, we're going to move into our next article, which is Disney+ cutting corners or strategically trimming the fat? The streaming giant cancels 2 completed series, leaving fans and employees alike questioning the company's future direction. Disney's canceled 2 new TV shows originally set for Disney+, despite both series having completed filming. The Spiderwick Chronicles and Nautilus are no longer slated for release on the streaming service. The cancellations are part of Disney's quote-unquote strategic realignment announced earlier this year, which aims to cut over $5 billion in cost and reduce $3 billion in non-sports content. The Spiderwick Chronicles is currently being shopped around by Paramount to potential other buyers. Yeah, it does seem they're pulling a Batgirl Bleach. I do remember that happening with HBO and Warner Brothers earlier on this year or late last year. So it is bizarre. I wasn't excited for Spiderwick Chronicles or Nautilus. I don't know what either of those shows are or what they were supposed to be about, if they were new IP or spin-off content. But it is bizarre. I think saying anything other than that it's a strategy is obviously clear. I mean, Disney knows what they're doing, and this is something they feel like they have to do. But it is a bizarre decision. It seems like they're not using it as the tax write-off vault plan that Batgirl did in particular. But it does look like they're trying to sell it. So rather than vault it, I guess they're trying to sell it, which maybe that means that the hard work of the people that did put in all the effort into that will still get some credit and some residuals, unlike Batgirl. But I don't know. Disney is a weird beast, and they just keep charging more. What do you think, Mayfly?
So I'm shocked that you don't know the Spiderwick Chronicles. I'm a little shocked. Definitely recommend those books. Obviously, they're kids' books, but super recommend them.
I was reading manga, so I missed out on, after Harry Potter, I read manga and nothing but. So I missed out on like all of them until Hunger Games. It's like Harry Potter to Hunger Games. I didn't read any American literature.
They're so good. They made a movie. Freddie Highmore, I want to say, when he was a wee tot, played the twins. Anyways, I could go on about that forever. Kind of. I mean, okay. The part that gets me is reduce $3 billion in non-sports content. So does that makes it seem like they're pushing more sports content. Who does Disney think their target audience is? Do they know their target audience?
Like, yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure that what they're saying there is because they're partnered with Hulu and ESPN.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Yeah, which I mean is fine, but at this point, you know, you're Disney. I know they own ESPN, but like you're still Disney. Right. You know?
You would think that sports wouldn't be able to outdo the nerddom that is Disney, but it's clearly still the behemoth, even though I want to say that gaming is bigger and nerd culture is bigger. It's definitely still the strongness.
I guess. I'm kind of okay. You know, if Spiderwick Chronicles gets picked up by somebody, maybe I'll watch it. I thoroughly enjoyed the film, the original film, like way back when, and loved the books. So I don't know that necessarily I'd be like, I didn't even know that was coming out or was going to come out. So I don't know what Nautilus is, but maybe I would watch that if it ever actually came to fruition. But
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it continues to progress and what Disney continues to do. I'm excited for the big bundle package that they're planning on doing, where you get all of them together, that I think we covered on TWIG like a month or so ago. And always interested to see how this world continues to take steps back into cable. And streaming is just a bizarre thing. It's a bizarre world that we live in right now, but we got to be around for the content. And at least as far as I'm concerned with Checkpoint, we got to keep subscribing to all of them because I need to watch all of the things. But it is weird. It's a weird season, and that weird season actually connects pretty well to our next story as we continue talking about Disney+. Take it away, Mayfly.
A new hope for representation, but a dip in numbers. How does Ahsoka?
Ahsoka. I got it.
Yeah. You got
10
it.
out of 10 pronunciation.
There you go. Ahsoka fare in the Star Wars universe's new era of live-action series. So the first episode of the Disney+ Star Wars series, Ahsoka, reportedly attracted 1.2 million households within its first 6 days of availability in the US, according to viewership data from Samba TV. While this matches the viewership numbers for the premiere of Andor, it's down 50% from Obi-Wan Kenobi's 2.4 million views and slightly lower than The Mandalorian Season 3 premiere with 1.7 million. Despite the lower numbers, the series, which prominently features female characters, is still considered a success. I mean, that's my girl. I haven't seen it yet because we don't have Disney+ because reasons, but I am looking forward to when we can get it next. Binging, just by the time we're able to, like, at that indoor budget, just binging the whole season. That's my girl. I'm excited to see what they're doing with her. I'm excited to see kind of where the story goes. I know from news and information that it does follow heavily off of the storyline of Rebels, which was very hard for my husband and I to get into, but we still basically know the story. So I'm definitely interested. I've heard good things about the first couple episodes. So, nobody has said anything negative to me. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that, again, Disney and streaming. It's just a weird giant. It's hard to describe what's going on with all these series. I did not watch much of Andor. I started Andor and didn't care for it.
Yeah.
But I did love every single minute of Obi-Wan Kenobi because I know the character and I care about the character
Yep.
and I want more from the character. And so I think that the only reason you saw the increase for Obi-Wan was household name, national acclaim, as far as like it's recognizable. A whole lot more people have watched the prequel trilogy than have
Yep.
watched Rebels, and so it just works out in their favor in that way. Plus, who doesn't love Ewan McGregor? I mean, come on. And so those two factors made for what was arguably probably a lower quality show. I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi was really just okay as far as the story, but it was nice to see Obi again, and it was nice to
Yep.
experience some more of that storyline. And I want
And
another
that-
season, even though, again, the story was just fair to middling at best. I feel the same way about Mando, even though a lot of people disagree with me there. But I also think that it's just people seeing recognizable characters that really is going to set it above. Whereas at least the novelty of quote unquote Baby Yoda Grogu was what excited people for Mando. And I wonder what is really helping people latch on to Ahsoka other than the connection to the cartoon and to the previous series that some people do have a connection with. I wonder if that's where most of those views came from and if it will be able to hold out until the end. I have heard rumors of some cameos, and I have a feeling that those will probably bump up the numbers quite a bit, maybe closer to Obi-Wan Kenobi's level. I'm always curious to see what they do next. I do think there is a level of Star Wars fatigue, like Bleach mentioned. I think superhero fatigue is much more prevalent and is much more harmful. Whereas Star Wars fatigue, I think that so many people were just excited to get content that they enjoyed after the latest trilogy, which I didn't hate, but a lot of people did. I think they were just so glad to not have that trilogy and to have something different than that they would take whatever. And the fatigue hasn't quite hit in quite the same way. Plus, all of them have been so novel and unique. Even if stories haven't gripped me, they've been really different from each other, and so they don't seem to carry over the same baggage. So
I do
we'll
agree
see.
with Bleach,
ahead.
though. Animation would still have. I'm gonna say surpassed for Ahsoka as far as like dealing with the story, because you could have. There's so much that you can do with animation, so much of her fluidity and her movements and her the way that she moves and things that she does and the way that she fights that you just can't do in reality. It's just not possible, right? And so Rosario Dawson's great, don't get me wrong, but I remember people were, I think they're called Leku, her head thing, right? Her head tails. People
Thought
were
that was hair.
so
I was certain
upset
it was
when
hair.
Rosario
No
Dawson
idea.
first came out about the length of her Leku, the white and blue stripy things, because they weren't long enough for Ahsoka's age, right? The longer with Ahsoka's species, the older you get, the longer they get. And people were like, well, why didn't you make them longer? And they were like, well, practical effects wise, we can't make them longer because then Rosario can't do stunts. Well, then why not just make the series animated so that you can make her the proper age, make them the proper length, make everything, it would have sufficed or surpassed, as a sequel for her story. But,
we'll continue to keep a look at those numbers and see how it does as we get closer to the end of the season. We feel seen by your opinions and your take here. And maybe, hey, look, maybe this will, at the very least, I'm hopeful that because they're doing a live action adaptation, that will get people on board that would have never watched a cartoon. And now they'll be like, hey, I love this character and I want to know more about their story. Then they'll watch the cartoon. Numbers will go up. Boom, new season. It could happen. It's there. It's viable. It's possible that the animation may get some rekindling if it gets a new fan base underneath it from people that just wouldn't have touched a cartoon without having a character to latch onto. But who knows? Who knows? We'll see how it goes. Now it continues to progress forward with that one as well. We're going to move into our last trending headline of the week. The PSP has been announced, but not that one. Sony has officially unveiled its new handheld streaming service for the PlayStation 5, known as the PlayStation Portal. Previously codenamed Project Q, this device features an 8-inch LCD screen that supports up to 1080p resolution at 60 frames per second and includes a 3.5mm audio jack. It will retail for $199.99 with a release date expected later this year. Unlike the original PlayStation Portable PSP, which was a standalone gaming device, the PlayStation Portal acts as an extension of PS5's Remote Play feature, letting you play PS5 games via this handheld device. Yeah, I feel about this one about how I feel about a story that is coming up later from our To the Discord section, in which I think this makes about as much sense as the Xbox Series S. And I mean that in like a loving way and also in a critique way. Like I think that the Xbox Series S is for a very specific consumer, but it's also like a step back. It's like a retrograde in how we're developing technology. I think that it's very unattractive, but that is just kind of a looks opinion. I'm sure it will work just fine and hopefully do what it needs to do. I will say I have had a lot of trouble getting Remote Play to work. I did finally do it. So for those of you that have been keeping up with the epic over on our Discord, I did manage to get PlayStation to pull up from my home whenever I was away from the office. And it worked once and I can't get it to work again. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why it's not working well over separate Wi-Fis. Maybe they'll figure that out and work some kinks out along the way, but at least I got it to work once. And so that's a step in the right direction and will maybe encourage me to get this. I think the best part about this is the price tag. And I really do think it's going to compare very similarly to hopefully it'll do better than PSVR 2, but probably about the same as Xbox Series S has done. Any thoughts, Mayfly?
Well, not really. I never have owned a PlayStation, so it's not something that I would personally add to my list of consoles and or miniature consoles. But I think for people who want that feature and the ability to play their games, on the go, as long as it works, good for them.
Yeah, that's really the trick for me is I hope it just works. And surely they wouldn't release something. PlayStation has a certain level of polish that I would describe as being very similar to Apple, where they're not going to release something that doesn't work. And I think they put a lot of attention to some of the stuff. I do think that Remote Play is not fantastic. And there was like a level of touch to the UI for PlayStation Now for years and years that just never felt paid attention to. And so there's such a weird level of like PlayStation really cares until they don't. And we'll see if they care about this project enough to keep it going and get people excited about it. I love playing video games from my bed, and so I'm down to try it and see if it's able to work. But it really is a unattractive piece of hardware that I think is just so incredibly niche that I just can't imagine it working how Sony really wants them to.
Leisha's on it tonight, man.
Yeah, Xbox is at a whole different point in remote, like Samsung sells TV with Xbox streaming built in. This is a novel toy for collectors and really, really specific use cases. Yep, 100%. I am a avid fan of xCloud. I think that Xbox has been doing streaming through Game Pass and xCloud right for at least 3 years now. I've been playing games on my phone with a controller and then the little doodad that attaches it to the controller for 3 years. I've played a ton of games like that and just enjoyed the heck out of them. So I don't know why they're feeling the need to do this and do it this particular way. I would have preferred standalone console, but I don't think anybody's doing that anymore. So, who knows? Sony. It's baffling to watch them make decisions and just kind of try not to judge them and hope that they know what they're doing. Backbone works still. I like more games for more people. Yes, you could absolutely do a Backbone. You could just use a PlayStation 5 controller, which I guess is probably about the same price as Backbone and is not much cheaper than the actual remote play thing here. So again, I really do think the best thing going in its favor is that price tag. I was expecting way higher than $200. I really thought that $250 was probably going to be where they would end up, and that was going to be cheap. So the fact that it came $50 below my cheap option was pretty thrilling. Do let us know in the comment section if you plan to get this, if this would be something you'd be interested in, if you see any value in this. I plan on getting it and trying it out and letting you know, but we'll just kind of let it be what it is. I hope that Sony continues to innovate in more exciting ways than this. I'd like to see something better and more innovative in the future from such a historic team. But with that, we're going to move in to one of our very favorite segments of the show, Cryptic Critiques. That's right. It is time for Cryptic Critiques. Cryptic Critiques is a game that we do here on the show where I pull real 1-star reviews off the internet of 5-star games, or at least by some opinions, 5-star games that are world-renowned, that have somehow gotten 1-star reviews. I find the funniest ones out there that I think are interesting descriptions. I read them off and see if you guys can guess them one prompt at a time. So Mayfly, I guess I'll let you guess first. I'll go through all three prompts. If you're in the chat, then try and store your guess up in your brain until Mayfly takes a guess. And then if Mayfly gets it incorrect, I'll turn to the chat and see if they can get it, and then I'll reveal the answer, assuming that they don't. Okay, everybody ready? Feel good? Let's go for it. Yeah. Prompt number 1. Feels distinctly like looking at your friend's photo bucket account from 10 plus years ago and smiling fondly through the cringe. That's prompt 1. Prompt number 2. What if Tumblr was a video game? Prompt number 3. Grown adults try desperately to write believable teenagers and constantly fall flat on their faces, the video game. Any guesses based off of those 3 prompts, Mayfly?
The words photo bucket, Tumblr, and teenagers scream Life is Strange to me.
It is indeed Life is Strange. Chats in the clap. Yes, for everybody that knows, Life is Strange is like one of my favorite games, and it is also one of Mayfly's favorite games, and so I thought that would be an appropriate one to draw out for this Cryptic Critiques.
I pulled it. It was funny because, we were prepping for this, and I could not think of it. I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this. He's going to ask me, and I'm no way.
Thinking Pokemon Snap, says Buish. That was his guess. Yeah, the photo bucket was a big giveaway, and the grown adults writing believable teenagers. You may or may not be surprised by this information. I was surprised by just how many people hate Life is Strange.
Wow.
It was not hard to find a 1-star review. In fact, it was pretty hard to find some 5-star reviews that did anything more than just like 5-star. But the 1-star reviews were very vocal about why everyone that gives it more than a 1-star is dead wrong. And so I found the fun ones, not the mean ones. I thought these were fun, at least. I thought these were goofy and less mean and more, ironic. But it definitely felt like many Gen Z have played Life is Strange and were dissatisfied with our millennial experience I liked it. I liked it as a millennial.
I loved it. I remember when it first came out, my first laptop. It was great.
Yeah, the Tumblr would have been a good guess for Undertale, Wise and Lemur. Definitely a good one. The teenagers bit would have been tough to make up, but definitely the cringe in the Tumblr, Undertale could also pretty adequately describe that. Okay, well, with that, let's go to the Discord. If you like to submit news to us, then you can use our Ask Questions, Get Answers section in our Discord, Discord in the chat. Or if you're not on the Discord, then just go to bit.ly/DearTwig, DearTwig, and submit news to us there. Those are two methods by which you can get us news. We do go through typically 3 pieces of news from people in the community. So our guest today also happened to submit 2 of those. So we're going to let Mayfly take it away with both of those pieces today.
Woohoo! First one, streamers galore, but where are the players? Immortals of Avium gets a massive Twitch campaign, but flops on arrival, raising questions about the power of influencer marketing in the gaming world. Despite a significant push from streamers, the video game Immortals of Avium has struggled since launch, peaking at only 751 players on Steam. The game, published by EA and developed by Ascendant Studios, was a full-price release at $60 for PC and $70 for consoles. It debuted last year at the Game Awards and was highly promoted through sponsored streams on Twitch. However, the game has received mixed reviews with a Metascore of 66 on PC and 70 on PS5, and currently has very few viewers on Twitch, which we have talked about kind of off and on the Discord, and I thought was really interesting when I saw this article, because I remember seeing stuff about this game and seeing stuff about this game and seeing everything was always about this game. And so you would expect when it launched, people would have been eating it up. Breach says, I don't even know what that game is. So, yeah, that was just shocking to me. If you read through the article, it says you can keep scrolling and scrolling on Twitter and see an endless list of sponsorships. But now that most have ended on Twitch, Immortals of Avium currently has 374 viewers. It's wow.
Yeah. It's pretty unreal. I was about to say, Bleach, you definitely do know what this game is, because we saw at least 6 ads for it at last year's Game Awards. This was promoted like crazy, and I think that you can look at the publisher and understand why. This was EA taking a gamble and taking a risk on a new IP. And, I think kudos. I think, good for EA trying something new, actually promoting something new. They did promote a little hard, and it definitely became a bit much for a game that really just looked pretty okay. And that's actually the vibe that I've gotten from people that have actually played it, is they say this is just an honest video game. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's not like a AAA title that's going to blow your mind, nor is it some indie darling that's going to make you cry in your bed at night. It's somewhere in the middle of just this is a video game that you can play if you'd like to. Mm-hmm. And some people want that and want that experience, but I doubt many people want that for $60. I think that this was probably a $40 game that just got juiced too much. It got too much given to it, and it needed to probably take a step back and figure out a little bit more of how to garner an audience and garner people, rather than just, hey, here's this thing we made, you should play it. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre thing, but I do want to say, I do think kudos to EA for at least trying something new, kind of notoriously microtransaction heavy EA. I think this was just an honest to goodness game. Maybe I'm wrong and it is riddled with microtransactions, but I don't think it is. I think it's just like a 10 to 15 hour gaming experience that was lovingly crafted by a team at Ascendant Studios, and they did what they did. And I don't know what happened or what went wrong, but they just didn't make anything that was quite worthy of all of the promotion that it wound up getting. It's a bummer. It's a bummer, but I do think that I hope that Ascendant Studios keeps going. I hope they maintain a relationship with EA, mm-hmm. and I hope they take some of the energy that they've maintained with this. Maybe EA backs off a little bit on the funding, but continues to give this studio a try and some funding so that they can continue to do the hard work. But it's a bizarre thing. It's a bizarre thing to see it flop in a year of just so many giants.
And maybe that's part of the problem too, is there's so many big games. If you want to stand out in a year like 2023 with a game, it's got to be something else, right? With everything coming up, with Starfield, with now, with Baldur's Gate, we've had so much in 2023 and so much yet to come in 2023. So there's that, and I remember originally I was excited for this game, but then it got pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed down my throat, and felt and then I just became bored of all the marketing, and I was so maybe a lot of people felt that way. You never know.
Yep. All right. On to the next one. I kind of teased this one a little bit already, but let's talk about the Xbox Series S.
Yeah, let's go back to that. Is less really more? Phil Spencer says Xbox Series S is here to stay, despite lacking some features in big titles like Baldur's Gate 3. Let's talk about what this means for the future of accessible gaming. So, Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, defended the Series S after Larian announced that Baldur's Gate 3 would ship without split screen co op on this console. Spencer argued that Series S owners understand the device's limitations and that omitting certain features isn't about parity between the Series S and the more powerful Series X. He affirmed that the Series S serves an important role in the gaming industry due to its lower price point, making gaming more accessible to casual or budget conscious players. I have two sides to this in my brain because I understand what he's trying to say. But at the same time, because like I do own a Series S. But you know what we use it for? Streaming.
I was about to say, guarantee streaming.
Streaming. That's it. I mean, we're on PC primarily now anyways, but even before, like hubby, most of his games were on disc anyways, and so we had the Series X anyways. So, very. What's a console? So streaming and like remote play and like those sorts of things is really what it's good at. So if you're, a budget conscious person and you need something for those specific reasons, then great. But as far as storage, graphics capability, like all of these other things that you would need a console for, it doesn't meet the mark. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I think it goes back. I mean, I kind of already aired my grievances with the S that is the same time as the PlayStation Portal thing that's coming out. I almost called it the Portable. It really has got to be a different name. It's just super niche. I think that I've always called the Series S the Game Pass machine, and I think that's what it is. I think that's the purpose that it served. And if you need something that you can play Game Pass through, you don't feel like downloading it on your phone or playing on your phone screen because it's too small. Like I get that. That's fine. Good. You've got it. It works. It does what it needs to do. But it is kind of like we said, it's not really for real games. It's not for the actual gaming experience. I think it's a great starter. And I do agree. I saw that Buish just said it's great for young children. I would always, of course, argue that the Switch should be that, and especially the Switch Lite. But it is a bummer that the Switch just refuses to dip any of their prices. But that's Nintendo style, unfortunately. So I think that I would probably recommend a Switch above just about anything for kids. But the Series S is a great starter console, or even like if you have a kid that's into gaming and wants a console in their room, that could be another like accessory console. It really is a bizarre thing. I don't know how accessible it is when compared to my phone. Maybe some people don't have phones that can handle it, and that's another access of accessibility that we just have to be cognizant of. So I trust that Phil Spencer is not going to make any decisions based off of the thoughts and opinions of those of us here on TWIG. And I am sure that he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's going to continue to push it for as long as he thinks it is fiscally viable for Microsoft. And he's going to keep doing what he's doing. And I'm glad to know that it's reaching the market, and at least it is for supposedly accessible reasons. I think that if it can be doing that, then great. Let's have all the accessibility that we possibly need for those that are in need of it. And it's an all-around good as long as that is the way it remains. But I do think it is a bummer whenever you have all these games that are just not going to be able to cut it on the console. But I do agree that he does know his audience well. They know the limitations. All of us gamers know that the S is the Game Pass machine. It's just not meant for real, quote unquote, gaming, as gatekeepery as that sounds. It is something that is its own thing. It's its own little niche. Yeah. We'll see. This will do, the rounds as it continues to do, and maybe we'll get a new Xbox Series S Plus or something in a couple of years, and we'll see what becomes of this little console. With that, we're going to move in to our last to the Discord segment. which is from Sneaky Pigs. What do 320,000 enthusiastic fans, record-breaking digital views, and a multitude of international exhibitors tell you? Gamescom 2023 wasn't just big, it was a global gaming phenomenon. What's the buzz all about? Let's unpack it. Gamescom 2023 saw a significant rise in in-person attendance, drawing 320,000 visitors from over 100 countries, up from 265,000 back in 2022. The event featured 1,227 exhibitors from 63 countries, with 76% coming from abroad. That is an insane number. The trade visitors numbered 31,000, half of whom were foreign exhibitors. On the digital front, Gamescom amassed 180 million views, including 20 million from the opening night live hosted by Jeff Keighley. Gerald Bose, the CEO, highlighted that the event remains the world's biggest gaming gathering. I love Gamescom. We go every year digitally as Checkpoint Church. We've done this since we very first started in 2020. It's just one of my favorite events of the year. And that is seriously an insane success. I think Jeff Keighley continues to be the glue holding the gaming community together, and gaming news, and all the journalists that do all of the tough work there. And I'm excited to see how Gamescom continues to grow. It was interesting. Sneaky originally posted 2022's numbers. And so I was able to really look at like 2022's numbers to 2023. It really is a massive increase from last year that is definitely record breaking. And I'm excited to see where Gamescom continues to grow and where these gaming events continue to grow. I love Tokyo Game Show. TGS is a blast. And I always enjoy the Game Awards. And I always enjoy this new thing that is E3, the future of E3, which is Summer Game Fest. So we'll see what Jeff Keighley continues to do with these massive events. Any thoughts, Mayfly?
It was fun. I don't think I've ever actually kept up with Gamescom. I try and just keep up with games individually and development cycles and stuff, but I never. And like I'll keep up with, when I was an Xbox player, I kept up with like Xbox showcases and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was fun, gathering. We all got in on the Discord and got to chat about stuff as we saw it, and that was nice. And yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, we enjoy doing that. We've like I said, we've done that since 2020, and that was honestly my first. I'd probably watched Gamescom before that, but definitely not as like intently. And admittedly, we were doing it for streaming fodder because I was like, I need things to stream, and this feels like a big deal event that would be entertaining. We got some great clips out of it, and then it was like, well, this is fun. Let's do this again. And so it just kind of became a thing. But now I think we've built a community out of people that want to attend these events and talk about games and stuff together. We make memes, of course, about the repetitive games that just keep showing up. We make jokes with each other. We even have a new thing that Kung Fu Carl has brought in to the group where we will say would buy, would Game Pass, or won't buy. Mm-hmm. And those are now our emojis that we all react to after they announce a new game or re-announce a game. We talk about it. It's a fun little game that we play. So next event that comes around, which will probably be TGS, we'll see. I don't know if TGS airs at a time that makes sense for us, but that'll be a fun one to watch for any of my fellow weebs out there. Will probably be a little less attendance there because the weebs are few and far between, but I do love my Bandai Namco games, and I always enjoy seeing what they announce during that time. Bleach would be there. Yakuza's normally there, so that'd be fun. Okay, with that, we're going to move in to our next segment of the show. Everybody's favorite.
At this point in nerd history.
So this is At This Point in Nerd History, where we go through all the things that happened on this exact date throughout time and space in the nerd world. Not much this time. Actually, a pretty low at this point in history. Not too many relevant things have come out, supposedly, on August 29th throughout time and space. Just a couple games and then one movie. Games that were released on August 29th throughout time and space. 2017, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, the game that nobody expected to do well, that did. 2006, Saints Row. 2006, this one's thrown in there just for me because I played the heck out of this game on my GameCube. One Piece Grand Adventure, so good, but not at all. I probably would not go back and play it for a minute, but man, I played so much of it in 6th grade. And then 2003, Tales of Symphonia, the one and only, the delightful JRPG that I'd recommend anybody play, especially with the remaster that I think came out this year. Was that this year? Holy smokes, 2023. And then movies, 2007, Balls of Fury, random, but sure, why not? A little ping ping pong movie released back in 2007. Again, a lower one, but those are all the things that came out at this point in nerd history. With that, we're going to move on to another favorite segment of the show. All right, this is upcoming releases for the week.
Alrighty. We are looking at, for TV, we are looking at One Piece on 31st. That's it.
Just one TV show.
Movie.
Normally there aren't too many TV shows starting in a given week. For some reason, it's like all of them start all at once. But One Piece is pretty hype, and that's a pretty big deal coming to Netflix, the live action adaptation.
Yep, the live action. Yep, so movies, we got a couple. 30th, that's Slaughterhouse. Is that a sloth horror movie?
It is indeed a killer sloth horror movie. I've heard it is campy as all get out, and it's super fun and actually a pretty good little commentary on those like teenage tropes. So I don't know why I would watch Slaughterhouse, but maybe I'm going to watch Slaughterhouse because it sounds pretty funny.
I kind of want to watch that. Okay, 31st, we have FPS first-person shooter. And then September 1st, we've got The Equalizer 3.
Love it. Always need more Denzel.
Slaughterhouse is top of my list.
Slaughterhouse is top of the line. FPS is a documentary, and I think it's going to be just okay. I've heard it's kind of just all right.
Okay. Comics, we've got on the 29th, we've got Punch Up, and 30th, we've got The Devil's Cut, which
Punch
both
Up, the
sound
art looks super cool. I just like that one for the art, and then The Devil's Cut in particular it's like a company that makes comics. And then they're just doing like a bunch of some of their like short stories into one comic book that they're calling The Devil's Cut. So it's like a combination of stories within one particular volume. So we'll see. Comics are always kind of slow, and I'm so out of the scene that I don't know any of these. But if you are in the chat and know Punch Up or Devil's Cut, let us know that those are something you're really excited for and tell us more about the stories. With that, I'm going to go through some of these games that are coming out in the next week. So coming out today, games that are already out right now, almost the end of the day. Sama de Amigo released 2 games, Party to Go, and then another mainline series game. Agatha Christie, Hercule Poirot, The London Case, Crossfire Sierra Squad. Don't know anything about that. I'm assuming an FPS. Daymare 1994 Sandcastle. If you played Daymare 1998, this is the prequel game that just came out. Extremely Powerful Capybaras is a party game where you are a capybara, and I'm assuming you are extremely powerful. Goodbye Volcano High is a game we'll start playing on Thursdays. So be sure to tune in here on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch for some Goodbye Volcano High. We're going to play through the whole game over on Thursday. Super excited about that visual novel experience. Under the Waves is the latest from Quantic Dream, I believe. That sounds right anywhere. And I'm super curious about that one. I don't know if we'll end up playing that one on stream or if I'll just end up doing that one on my own time, but Under the Waves is something I'm super curious about. On the 30th, Mario + Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Rayman in the Phantom Show is officially coming to Rabbids. I don't even know the last time Rayman has been in a game, but that's pretty cool to see that he is coming to Sparks of Hope. And then on the 31st, we have Deceit 2, How to Escape, Tenebris Pictura, The Shape of Things, which is like a pretty fun puzzle game. Tiny Witch, Trine 5, for those that are fans of the Trine series. Trine 5, A Clockwork Conspiracy. And then on the 1st, Dreamers, Fortune's Run. And then on the 3rd, Girl Genius, Adventures in Castle Heterodyne are coming out. And then also on the 3rd, this isn't a new game, but it's something that I have heard a lot of the members of our community talk about being excited for. Baldur's Gate 3 is officially coming to the PlayStation universe. It's been on pre-order for a while now, but it will officially be delivered to our PlayStation gamers on the 3rd. So not the best day to come out right alongside Starfield, but maybe we're just assuming this is for the PlayStation players that don't also have an Xbox. That's going to be a tough bit of competition between the two. But again, PlayStation gamers, if they had an Xbox, they probably would have already been playing Baldur's Gate 3. So hopefully for this niche group that people that only have a PlayStation, they'll look forward to playing Baldur's Gate 3 over the next bit of time and logging their 50 to 100 hours between Mayfly and myself. So pretty good games. An exciting week ahead. Some cool DLC coming out there. I am pretty excited about the games that came out today in particular of Goodbye Volcano High and Under the Waves, but I'm curious to know if any of those piqued your interest, Mayfly.
I was looking at Tiny Witch because I like the title. But
I think it's
just
like a shopkeeper sim, isn't it? It's like the one I think
Yeah.
where they're like completing tasks.
I love the
for-
art though. The art's cute.
Mhm. I'm super curious about those Trine games. I remember that Methodist Gaming played through some of the Trine games and seemed to enjoy it, and I had just never even heard of them before that. But I think they're
I've
fun little
heard
puzzle
of
games.
them.
So
But
I
I've
don't know.
never played them.
I've never heard of them even until then. Like I had never heard of them, and now there's 5 of them. So I don't know. I don't know how those just slipped under my radar so seriously.
Oh
but-
wow, the art's super pretty.
Yeah, I think people really enjoy them. So clearly enough to have gotten the interest for a 5th series or 5th in the series to be released. So
Wow, that's cool.
we'll see. We'll see about Trine. I'm interested and curious about the fact that there's a new one, and maybe we'll see if anybody talks about it. Of course, also Sea of Stars was just released, but of course that was on last week's, but that's one that I'm particularly excited about. So let us know in the comments or in the chat if you are planning on playing any of those games, reading any of those comics, watching any of those movies, or watching the TV series. I have a feeling we'll probably be doing a nerdy sermon on One Piece because not our nerdy sermon, but a devotional that we did in our very first year during Advent remains to be one of our best viewed of all time videos on YouTube. And we talked about One Piece. So there's something about the power of One Piece. I'm sure we'll need to talk about it. I know the story pretty well. I'm not caught up with everybody, but I've read those first like 30 volumes like a million times back in school. So we'll talk about it, I'm sure. With that, we're going to get into the final segment of the show, which is happening. Okay, so it's time for our meme of the week. This week, our meme comes to us via Yeet the Boots or Danny G, depending on where you find them. And this is a rocket joke. So it's got arrows pointing to the thrusters. The end should point towards the ground if you want to go to space. If it starts pointing towards space, you're in a bad problem, and you will not go to space today. Love that. Love the little bit of humor. This was our best reacted over on our Memes and Goofs channel over on the Discord. If you would like to have your meme and goof considered for next week's meme of the week, then be sure to drop over in Memes and Goofs some funny jokes over in our Discord, especially Discord. Thank you, Mayfly, and let us know what's making you laugh. And if it gets the most reactions, then it could be featured on the show next week. With that, we're going to close the show. But before we do, I'm going to take it away to Mayfly to have any shout outs, talk about anything else that you might want to. If you want, we can just go straight into Baldur's Gate and just take the next hour and a half of everybody's time.
All right, so I found no, I'm good. Thanks for having me. I am primarily only really on the Discord. That is where you can find me. I am there all of the time.
And in Twitch chat. You're always in Twitch chat and always on the Discord.
I am always in Twitch
Where
chat.
people can find you. And you're Mayfly in all the spaces, so they should be able to find you pretty easily. And Mayfly is one of our level 2 members here at Checkpoint Church. Level 2 are people that have taken the step beyond just being served by Checkpoint to serving alongside us. That is why she is a part of this show and a part of so many of the things that we do. And we always appreciate the folks that opt into level 2 and want to serve in that way. If you are interested in level 2 in the chat right now, you can type !level 2, or if you're over on YouTube, then you can find it somewhere down there, I'm sure, in the description. I'll make sure that I include it in this episode in particular, just because I said that. And with that, we're going to wrap up this show towards the end. This has been TWIG, your weekly geekly family-friendly news show, delivered live on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch each week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerd news. If you watched this far, you likely enjoyed this one, so remember to give us a 5-star on your podcast app. Click that like button if you're watching on YouTube, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube, bye YouTube. And recommend this show to all of your favorite nerds so we can continue to reach new people. And we're going to end this one as we always do with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there, whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God or hate the church. We believe that number 1, God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. That's what we're doing here through shows like this, through streaming on Twitch, through having our YouTube channel, towards having a Discord community. And number 3, really that you, yes, you, no matter who you are, what you've done, or where you've been, believe that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world's a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, until the next time that I see you, whether it be on one of our streams or whether it be here, same time, same place for the Week in Geek next week on Twitch or over on YouTube, I look forward to seeing you then. Until next time, bye-bye!